final yellow speed paint. I can't believe how quickly 4 weeks have come to an end. I'm really happy with this speed paint series, and it's been nice to see that a lot of you have enjoyed it as well. Thank you all so much for your questions and interest in yellow and its characters. But before we wrap this all up, let's take a deeper look into Sabrina's character. Sabrina is the last character who was introduced about halfway point of Chapter 1. While in Chapter 1 we didn't get to hang around her for too long, in Chapter 2 we had a more widespread introduction to her character. Sabrina is a sassy girl who isn't ashamed to say whatever comes to her mind. This makes her a very emotion-driven character. In the midst of all fun, or whatever emotion she is running through, she may not think twice about what she is saying aloud. Despite this, she doesn't want to hurt anyone on purpose, and wants to ensure that she is good company, despite her wild comments every now and then. She loves to spend time with Tulip, and values their friendship a lot. They both enjoy the same shows, shopping, and partake into celebrity gossiping whenever there's a tea to be spilled. She's more casual with Michael, but is more than happy to hang out with him as well. Out of the 4, it's been noted that she is capable of having pretty chill conversations with Jake. Even if she can talk with anyone and remain civil, it doesn't always mean that she likes them. In the case of Jake, she doesn't agree with his behavior, and in Chapter 1, it's shown that she isn't afraid to lay down the facts for Jake to hear. Despite her confidence in the outside world, Sabrina does have her personal insecurities, namely her sexuality. Sabrina is bisexual, and while she isn't ashamed of it, she is afraid of how others will perceive her because of it. She wants to be proud of herself and shamelessly show off how she is, but due to the past experiences, she is afraid of the public reception. Sabrina wants to be accepted as how she is, without having her sexuality to do anything with it. In Chapter 3, we will actually explore Sabrina in a bit more depth, so I will leave the rest for you all to discover later on. Out of the 4, Sabrina was the most drastic character design I did at the time of planning Yellow in 2015. Nowadays, I have gotten more comfortable expanding my style for different shaped characters, but back then, Sabrina was quite out of my comfort zone. While the rest of the characters were more or less familiar or within the comfort zone for me, I wanted to go all out with Sabrina's design. First things first, I wanted to make her fur curly. She's the only character in Yellow who got curly hair. Unlike Michael, who got silky textured straight fur, Sabrina has a very thin and rough pelt that gets static very easily during wintertime. Grooming that fur takes a lot of effort and conditioner, but at the same time, it shows off her colorful personality. Second, when I made decisions regarding her color palette, I had a very strong vision that I wanted to make her pink in some way. I didn't want her colors to seem too unnatural, so I went with desaturated russet pink. Even if I usually would try to shy away from doing pink colored characters, I am so happy that I decided to go with it in Sabrina's design because it shows off her personality. On the Tulip speed paint, I said I had 2 questions from a single user and how I would save the second question for later. This is the speed paint that I was saving this question for, so without further ado, let's get into answering it. The question is, who's your favorite character to draw and or write about? And it was asked by a vortex of emotions on YouTube. The reason why I wanted to save that question for this speed paint is that character is Sabrina, hands down. While every character has their traits I enjoy writing about, Sabrina's personal conflict, and the way she acts feels very important to me. I may not be bisexual myself, but I got a lot of friends who are. I guess you could say that through Sabrina, I try to get a better grasp upon what they are struggling with, and that way learn to get even more empathic about it. I know I won't have personal experience to offer as support, but I will gladly listen whenever they want to talk about it. Personality-wise, Sabrina is the character in Yellow that I relate to the most. Writing Sabrina isn't only interesting to me. It's easy because I can naturally come up with the responses or the way she acts in the comic. As I mentioned earlier, around 2015, Sabrina's design was the first character design where I attempted her characteristics to be the most out of the box for me. Nowadays, she is one of my favorite characters to draw during Yellow, since her design is visually super satisfying for me. I'm surprised how simple design Sabrina got in the end, but I'm glad that her silhouette plays a bigger role in her character design than colors and patterns. While I love to include a lot of visual detail in my characters, Sabrina has definitely helped me to learn how to appreciate the beauty of simplicity. And the one last question I have for this speed paint series is by Gaox and Korpi. They ask, will Yellow be published as a print at some point? Yes, I plan on doing physical copies of Yellow in the future. But I can't estimate exactly when. I doubt I can get a single print out of the comic immediately, but I have been thinking about a 3-parter if possible. Of course, the print version would include exclusive illustrations and such, so we will find out what I can come up with. Thank you to everyone who has asked questions about Yellow and its characters during this speed paint series. I hope I have managed to give satisfying responses to your questions along the way. Before we wrap everything up, I'll quickly go through the drawing process with this 4th illustration. Just like every illustration of Yellow in the speed paint series, this drawing of Sabrina was done with the Gaumon S620 tablet. By the time I got to draw her, I was fully used to the tablet. I didn't have any noticeable difficulties when drawing her, so the process went by very nicely. The sketch that I had done traditionally is probably my favorite pose-wise out of these 4 drawings. It's filled with character, and I'm very happy how much Sabrina it screams to me. A turquoise green background was the best fit since it helps Sabrina to stand out and give a more saturated color to the illustration. Just like with Michael's drawing, for Sabrina's shading, I used colors that I wouldn't normally use. For her highlights, I used cool turquoise green, and the shading was done with warmer russet pink. It gave some sort of harmony that feels good to me in this drawing. She is Sabrina, the second supportive character of Yellow. This was the 4th and final speed paint I got for you of Yellow. I hope you all have enjoyed this speed paint series. If this happens to be the first speed paint you happen to spot, don't worry. All the speed paints are now uploaded on my channel, and it doesn't really matter in which order you watch them in. There will be the last speed paint that's about Michael included at the end card. There is no official date when I start posting Chapter 3 to DeviantArt, but I will keep you updated. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them and I'll gladly answer them. If you also got any suggestions where else I could start posting Yellow, feel free to recommend those in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with the process of Yellow, I recommend you to join my Discord server. I do updates for those who have Yellow Row, whenever I make progress with the story. It also ensures you to be the first in line to know when Chapter 3 will start posting again. The link to my server can be found in the description below. You can also find my review of the Gaumon S620 tablet that I used for drawing this illustration from the end card. If you're curious to hear my deeper commentary regarding the tablet, please check that video out. Thank you for watching. Please stay safe, wash your hands, and have a good day or night.